Another glut of cricket awaits, a double header, and one of them is our first official or unofficial eliminator of the tournament. Team that loses doesn't seem to have an opportunity to make the semi final. Team that wins stays alive just. Two games to come. Let's tell you exactly what lies ahead. Here we are of the first of two games. Let's have a look at what lies ahead. This is part of our double header. Let's have a look at the second game first, and that is, of course, Afghanistan taking on Pakistan. This should be quite a contest from Dubai, the night game. Whether or not the toss will continue to play a factor, we hope it doesn't, but it'll be an important first 5 minutes of the game if it does. But well before that, in the heat of Sharjah, it's going to be the heat on two teams. One of them could potentially be eliminated from a semi-final opportunity. That is West Indies against Bangladesh. The defending champions might just be out of the tournament. That is big news here. And we will look ahead to all of it on Cricbuzz Live. Joining me on the panel, we've got keeping the birthday tradition alive. We had a lot of birthdays yesterday and day before. Joy Bhattacharjya, who's just waiting in the wings for that. And Michael Vaughan, who doesn't need to wait anymore. Happy birthday, Michael.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, good to be back. I've had a little breather. Been on holiday, now back. I know you guys celebrate genuinely in India when you put cakes on people's faces, don't you? I won't be doing that today. I would have been if I was there in the studios with you, but I'll be having quite a nice day watching a couple of games of cricket. Hopefully, we'll get a couple of good games. That's what
We've
I'm
missed
after.
the opportunity, Joy. Good.
I tell you, I just love to smash that cake. And that's all the international cricketers, that's the one thing they'd say. So we love India, we love the way the IPL is played, we love everything. Please don't smash cake and please don't waste good cake, because in all these places, the one thing you knew was always order two cakes. One has to be smashed on the face, the other has to be eaten. So there's no point ordering one cake.
David Warner in particular has always expressed his displeasure, and he's just had a birthday a couple of days ago, celebrated belatedly after his wonderful innings and, of course, the Australian victory. But Michael, coming straight to business, West Indies against Bangladesh, who would have thought that the defending champions might be on the verge of elimination? But that's the way these groups are designed, unlike, say, the 2019 World Cup, the 50-over World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, they've just not arrived and played to any kind of level that they would have expected. You can talk teams, formations, different combinations, but ultimately they've just not played well enough. I do think they would possibly have lost a lot of confidence from that hammering they took from England. I think drawing England in the first game is probably not what any team wants. You just want to get off to a nice start, get a couple of wins, and then play the better team. So. Playing England, being bowled out for 55. Then Lendl Simmons in the next game. Not too sure what he was doing at the top of the order. So they've just not quite got their rhythm of play right. There's still a danger. They've still got a glimmer of hope. And whatever the West Indies have got a glimmer of hope, they'll always fancy that they can sneak through. But it's a long shot.
I can tell you one thing. Toss news. The West Indies will be batting first. Not because they chose to. It was Bangladesh who have won the toss and have asked West Indies to bat first. Joy, first reaction to that, I think Bangladesh just wanting to ensure that they know the kind of total. West Indies, maybe the situation they're in right now, won't mind just putting runs on the board.
Yeah, I think it works for both teams, to be honest with you. It works for both teams simply because Bangladesh is not very confident about their batting order. But the West Indies, again, are in the same situation where they just... the mechanics of a chase at this point in time may be something they've got a new batting order. They say, what if Chris Gayle comes up on top, even Lewis, we blow them away, we make 200 runs, the game is over. Because they probably feel that if they put that 180, 190 kind of total, Bangladesh doesn't have that batting firepower to be able to chase it. So they feel that if they're strong suit, they can put this game to bed in the first half itself. That's what they're going to try and do.
Well, it certainly should be. Michael, your thoughts on West Indies losing the toss? I mean, not that they have an option, but batting first. Is it something you reckon they might have even done had they won the toss in an afternoon game?
No, I think they'll... not really. I think teams like to chase. An afternoon game, I think, gives you a better option of winning either way. You've just got to play better. I mean, that's the West Indies probably blueprint for today, is to raise the standards. Every individual has just got to kind of raise their standards. If they do so, if the West Indies turn up and play an 85% game, they win. the West Indies tournament play anything less than that, and Bangladesh play really, really well, obviously they can win the game. But Bangladesh will be happy. They can kind of squeeze with the spinners, try and restrict, and then chase in the afternoon. The evening games have been clearly an obvious kind of advantage for the team that's won the toss, bowled and chased down with the dew later on. But the afternoon games, you always feel it's a little bit more 50-50. It just comes down to which team can get their better players playing to potential.
I think despite having a few afternoon games, Joy, the stats are still suggesting such a skew towards the chase. And we said at the end of the Australia game, it's been the theme of this tournament. Calm chases have been the order of the day, and no better representation than Pakistan, who are not normally used to doing that.
Yeah, calm, Pakistan, these are words that normally don't go together, but they have done it. And look, that's exactly the point. New tournament, you've come in, whatever it is, IPL tournament, it's happened, it's over. And people just still don't know how well the pitches play. A lot of these pitches have been put away for the World Cup. So what's happening is, it's following exactly the pattern, say, that the IPL followed in 2020, which is that in the beginning, you really don't know what totals to get. So teams chasing first will keep winning, they'll keep winning, till you reach a stage where guys have finally figured out, okay, this is a 140 pitch, this is a 160 pitch, and then that ratio changes. If you looked at the 2020 IPL tournament, there was a sharp change which started literally at a point when they had reached a stage where suddenly, so it was like 9 out of 10 games people are chasing, and then it turns out, 7 out of 10, 5 out of 10. Towards the end, it was almost 45-55.
Well, the one thing is both teams will have the ability to chase. Bangladesh, because they're chasing, because they won the toss. West Indies, because they have a chap called Chase in their lineup. Sorry, I had to get that one in. But Michael, I think it's a good selection, really. Never mind the off spin for the left-handers, but he's been someone pushing to break the door down for T20 selection.
Yeah, and Lendl Simmons at the top of the order, he's just not played with any kind of clarity, commitment. He's just not been able to get going. So Chris Gayle goes up to the top. I think that's the right place for him to bat if he's going to play. I think he always has to open. That's my opinion of Chris Gayle in T20 cricket. Roston Chase, he offers that off spin to the left-handers of Bangladesh. Just look at that strike rate of 45 in a T20 game. Lendl Simmons against South Africa, that's just not good enough. Understand the kind of removal of Lendl Simmons. It offers them that ability of Chris Gayle to go out in Sharjah. If he can get to 10 and just play now, he could quite easily rain down Sharjah with balls flying to all parts. So, understand the move. They've just got to, as a team, understand what they're trying to achieve. I think sometimes I watch the West Indies and, they don't seem to have great clarity in the consistent way they want to play the game of T20 cricket. They seem to be one day really aggressive, the next day not. I think in T20 cricket, you've just got to have great clarity in your group of what style of cricket you want to play consistently. The West Indies don't seem to have that.
Let's stay with Chase for a while, Joy, because he comes from this new group of cricketers who may be perceived as more suited to the longer format of the game, and Chase admits that. But he's in the last 12 months or so, he's consciously been trying to reinvent himself. We saw him in the Caribbean for St. Lucia, and both with bat and ball, he was looking to do things slightly differently to adapt.
No, that's a pretty decent strike rate. 144 in conditions which are often sluggish, 450s in 12 matches. That's a very, very decent set of figures out there. And I think, look, if you're a really class quality batsman, you can adapt. It's not that he doesn't have the power. It's just mentally looking at the game slightly differently. And the top players in the world, whether it's a Jacques Kallis or a Sachin Tendulkar, found ways to adapt whenever they found a new format. It may take them a little longer if it doesn't come to them naturally, but there's no reason that you can't have top quality batsmen play, to adapt to a different format. I like this also because, even Lewis and with Gayle is, Lewis always goes from ball one. He really doesn't bother about it. He's going to go from ball one no matter what the situation is. It gives Chris Gayle that 7, 8, 9 balls. If you see Chris nowadays, he doesn't go from ball one. He likes to get a sense of the pitch. He'll, pat 3, 4 balls back. He'll get a sense of, okay, this is how much the ball is doing. And he can afford to do that because Lewis is just such an attacking player up front that Lewis will be attacking. So that's why it probably works. So, I know there's a whole thing about left-handers and right-handers mixing it up and all that. But no, you've got to make the best of whatever you have. And I think exactly as Michael said, if you have Chris Gayle in a team, you cannot bat him. You have to open with him. Because if he comes in at 3 or 4, he could chew up balls, he could do a whole lot of things. But opening 7 times out of 10, if he gets going, he'll give you a fantastic start.
There's also a sense of familiarity, Michael, because even in the CPL this year, the Patriots sort of broke up that marriage of Gayle and Lewis for a bit. They tried Devon Thomas up the order. Then they realized 3-4 games into the tournament, no, if they're both in the same lineup, let them open. And it worked.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. When you've got players like Evan Lewis, you've got Chris Gayle, particularly Chris Gayle, that, you know, if you leave Crystal potentially coming in after the power play, when you have to be kind of running 1s and 2s more frequently, he's not a spring chicken. He's not going to be sprinting between the wickets. So you want to maximise the boundary potential that you have of Chris Gayle, which is the first 6 overs. And if he only bats the first 6 and gets you 30, 40 quickly, there you go. He's off to a fly. And then if he gets out in the 7th or 8th, there's plenty of power in that middle order and probably quicker running between the wickets that can create more of an impact. So, yeah, I think it's quite. It was strange when I saw Chris Gayle bat at number 4. I just didn't quite see that.
In any of the tournaments, it happened in the IPL as well, and we were crying out for him to be up the order. I remember this time in the Caribbean, I was asking him, Chris, because you've been batting in different positions, how do you adapt to sort of running a few 2s in that middle phase? And he just turned around and said, "What's a 2?" He said, Chris Gayle don't know 2s. He had that laughter of his that I've been trying to get right forever and I can't.
No, Chris is a character, and Chris. See, that's the great thing about Chris. You know what? I think Michael's hit upon some very basic points. One is know your player. Boundary hitting. Where is the best chance of hitting boundaries? First 6 players in. And that's exactly what Chris is. I mean, Chris, with that much power, for him to go over the top is not difficult at all. Even if it's a spinner bowling, there's no bowler that Chris can't hit over the top in the first 6. And all he needs is 6, 7, 8 balls to settle down. But just like Michael's clear about his game, I think, to be honest with you, Chris is very crystal clear about his game. He's very clear about what he can do and what he can't do at this stage in his career. So he's a smart, intelligent guy. Don't get that wrong either. And he's understanding that if I'm batting at number 4, I'm just a liability to the team if I have to run so much. So he knows what he's doing out there. If they have the sense to let him bat in his normal position, which they have today, I think, you know, whatever it is, and it shouldn't be a one-match thing saying, okay, you know, you've done it, okay, it's not working, let's go back to something else. Give him a run of 2-3 matches here, and I think you'll see results.
Now, obviously, we are privy to this information, Michael, of Gayle coming up the order. Bangladesh will be obviously sitting and making their plans for various batsmen. Now, once they know that they've got a Gayle and a Lewis, if you were in the Bangladesh camp, what would you be hitting them with? Because I remember a few years ago in a test match, they had a left-arm spinner called Shohag Ghazi who came in to bowl the first over. Gayle was offended. He was insulted. He hit the first ball for 6 and he went on an absolute rampage just purely out of saying, how dare you do that to me? How would you attack Gayle up front?
Oh, I think there's 2 ways. You can use a bit of pace and go quite aggressive. I mean, depending on the pitch, or you go off spin and take it away from the 2 left-handers. I would think they'll choose off spin. I think they'll try and use the off spin. The only threat with that is Sharjah is so small. You know, so it's one of 2. You either take the spin away from the bat, or you go with the pacer and try and be aggressive and hit heavy length. I think England have been the team that have bowled the best length. They've bowled back of a length. They've not kind of floated the ball up. They've not allowed the batter to step and hit down the ground. I'm amazed that other teams haven't tried to follow the kind of mechanism of strategy that England have produced so far. Pakistan and England have been the standouts in the early stages of this year's T20. A lot of it's to do with the length that they've been bowling. They've been bowling a different length to many of the other teams. I'm surprised the other teams haven't adapted yet.
Yeah, fair point in that. Just
add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gautam, just adding to that, yeah. I mean, Mehdi Hasan, naturally the off spinner who's going to take it away. I think definitely one is that, attack them with that. And maybe normally Shakib gets a few overs up front. Maybe Mehdi Hasan's the guy who gets those overs up front. Shakib now comes in after 6. The other is here, you know, Chris doesn't like it up here in the first thing. And in Shariful, they have somebody, Taskin Shariful, they have somebody who has a little bit of pace. And they've, you know, who can 6 feet 3 inch, 6 feet 4 inch guy, Shariful, you know, he can bounce it at him. You cannot give Chris Gayle length early up. I mean, just that's the one thing you can't. He is a bit tentative to that test match length, but on pitches like this where the ball's not doing anything at all. I mean, if this was Australia and England, the ball was doing something, pitch it up to him, take it away, maybe you'll get something. But in these conditions where the balls, I mean, we've seen maybe 4 examples of swing, and that too, the ball swung for about an over and a half before it stopped. So, in these conditions, your best bet is to just keep the length here.
Well, I can tell you what, we've talked a lot about the defending champions. Let's not forget Bangladesh. They, in a strange way, will be looking for this as an opportunity. As a team who, well, you never know which team might turn up. They've made 2 changes. And you can see that we're not quite sure where Liton Das might fit in. It's possible he might take the role that Nurul Hassan has vacated, and that's why he comes in there with the injury. Taskin Ahmed comes back, and so does Shomo Sarkar up front for Nurul. First reactions, Michael, to seeing a fast bowler in Taskin Ahmed coming in for their 3rd spinner. Now, you'd imagine Bangladesh would want to stick to their strength of maybe 12 overs a spin.
It can only be the dimensions of the ground. You know, that's the only reason I can believe they've gone with that change. I guess if it was in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, they'd stick with the spin options because of Sharjah small. They feel that they've got more of a chance with the seamers. I'm not too sure about that. I would always go with your strength. You know, whatever your strength is, go with it, and then tinker with other areas of your team. I do look at T20 cricket and think, you know, so much thought process goes into selection matchups, kind of combinations, that sometimes you can lose sight of what your strength really is. And Bangladesh, for me, a team that need to squeeze with spin, be more fluent and braver with the bat. When they're brave and kind of flamboyant, I always feel that they can cause a shock or two. When they try and play safe, you know, I feel that they're getting lost in the mindset. And then it always comes down to their seamers and the fizz. You know, that's pretty much what Bangladesh do. They've changed that because of the venue. That's the only reason I can give that they've gone for the extra.
Well, the fizz
seamer
will be key, Joy. I mean, I know you expressed surprise also that Nasum was left out, but Mustafizur, again, is going to be someone who's going to be key for them.
Yeah, he's the key, and he also, the way he bowls, you know, with the wrists and whatever he does with it, he's perfect to bowl in surfaces like this, where the ball is not a matter of, you know, getting a lot of pace or something on the ball. He'll break it up, he'll bowl those cutters. He's a very, very different bowler. I mean, the way he uses his wrist, very few international players do. So, again, it's like somebody you're not particularly used to. I think he'll bowl very, very well on these surfaces. The other thing is that the only other reason I can think that they have dropped Nasum is a simple reason. With the number of preponderances of left-handers in their order, what they didn't want to go in with 2 left-arm spinners, because you already have Shakib. Shakib is always going to be, I mean, he has to play. He's one of their key players. So they're saying, do we want another left-arm spin bowler? Do we want a left-arm orthodox? And I think that was what they were saying. Too many left-handers. Let's not take the chance, because if somebody like Gale gets going and I have no ways to hide those overs, then they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So I think that's where the choice came from, rather than it's making the best of a bad situation, because you didn't have another, rock star off spinner to take on these attack. They just said, let's go with the fast bowler instead of a left arm orthodox.
Yeah, fair enough. Dimension to the ground, Mustafizur being key. But another player who's just come into the side for Bangladesh, pulls a little bit of seam, but we won't talk about that part of his game. Bangladesh are looking for someone who can express himself in that top order. They haven't found that this time. Shomo Sarkar maybe comes in there as to play that particular role with the form or lack of form from Liton Das.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like what I say about the West Indies. Their DNA of the way that they want to play, has to be aggressive all the time, particularly in T20 cricket. And the same for Bangladesh. I always look at Bangladesh, a tremendously talented team, but sometimes they get lost in terms of their consistent way of playing. I just think Bangladesh is such a dangerous side when they go for it. They just play with so much freedom to strike the ball, hit the boundaries, take the spinners on, take the quick bowlers on. And when they do that and they have that mindset, they're dangerous with whatever formation and whichever team they pick. It's purely about, can they as a group commit to being aggressive, commit to being, playing this kind of way of of always putting the bowler under pressure, always kind of forcing the issue and trying to look for the boundaries. Boundaries not there, right? Get a 1 or a 2, hit it into the pockets, run hard. The running between the wickets this T20 has been atrocious. It's been absolutely horrendous. There was an over that England bowled Liam Livingstone. They could have had 3 run-outs in the over. I mean, that's schoolboy under 11 kind of style cricket, which shouldn't happen at this level. And it's things like this that I look at in Bangladesh cricket and think, they've been playing a lot of international cricket. There's a lot of experience in that group now. Those kind of scenarios should not happen at this level. So they're the kind of things that they have to iron
I'm glad
out.
Michael brought that up, Joy, because I remember watching that over. There were runouts that didn't happen, but the runout that did happen should never have happened. I mean, there was the captain himself who just sells the opposition batsman, or he's a non-striker, a dummy, and then they're all looking at each other as if, as Michael said, they're playing an under 15 game.
Yeah, it's almost as if, okay, you ran me out in the last match, I'll run you out. But, Gautam, I want to pick up on this because Shomo Sharkar is somebody who came in with a lot of promise from 2013 since he started playing international cricket. He's been playing so long, it's difficult to understand that he's just 28 years old. My question is, what is the word on him? Has he gone off the boil? Why is he not? He was one of their stars. Why is he not a consistent first 11 player nowadays? What's the word on him?
Well, I mean, it's a tough one. It's just, I think it's what Bangladesh have been saying and spending a bit of time over there. It is just about, say, someone like a Tamim Iqbal. When he's around, he cements that spot. And now they found a newcomer like Naeem Sheikh, who's basically taken Shomo Sharkar's spot. So I think now it's about saying to himself that now that Tamim's not around, can I get in and remind everybody, Michael, that this is what I used to deliver and I can still do so.
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes think with players that they come out of the traps and do so well, and we always expect them to play to that level consistently over a period of time. Sometimes they're inconsistent because they're not quite good enough to be consistent. Got all the talent, but it all comes down to mindset. It all comes down to the mind. It all comes down to adapting conditions, working out situations, working about different bowlers that you have to face on the different conditions. Working out your mind of what you're trying to achieve at that moment. And the best players can react quickly to the surface. And maybe he's just not, clever enough or smart enough to understand that you can't play the same way every single game. You can have the same mindset in terms of looking to be aggressive, but you can't play the same way. And that's the difference between the real high class players and those that are kind of in the group of being good players. Good players who get a good score and then have a couple of kind of low scores, then come back again. The real great players are consistent across the board, and that's generally because their mind and their cricket smartness are that little bit better than
Joy, I know I was playing down his bowling, and anyone who talks about Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka and that particular tournament will refer to that. But he has been useful. Shomo Sharkar has been useful, and in a tournament where we are talking about knowing that you have a 6th bowling option, he's not a bad person to have on the side.
True. I mean, yeah, 6th bowler, this is the one other thing that you're having serious problems with. And I think every team that's managed to solve that 6th bowler option, that sort of pool of 2.5 all-rounders in the middle, all of them are doing well. If you see England, the very fact, with Moeen Ali, with Liam Livingstone, they're getting such a variety because they've suddenly got, the captain has places to go. Otherwise, all you can decide is which over you'll bowl. And you can't really stem a flow of runs. So Shomo Sharkar's bowling is going to be vital, just as changing things around, bringing things. And he's an experienced bowler. He's not got the greatest T20 international record, but he's an experienced bowler, 61 international matches. He knows what generally has to be done in situations like this. And again, the pitches at Sharjah will not be very, very different from the kind of pitches that they see a lot of in Bangladesh. So, yeah, I think Shomo Sharkar gives you something there.
Keep a lookout for facial hair, because the worst phase Shomo Sharkar went through was the dodgy moustache he had on. So we don't know what look he's going to come with. Keep a lookout for that particular one. But Shakib Al Hasan, icon player, Michael. He's going to be chasing today, always involved in the game. And when you're chasing, he's somebody you want out there to just control the chase. You get a good start early, great. Even if you don't, he can play both roles at the same time.
He's a brilliant player, brilliant cricketer. Up there with the best all-rounders in the world comfortably. Consistently produces bowling performances, batting displays, decent in the field. He's just got that that know-how of the game. You just look at his consistent scores, and that's strong in T20 cricket to be so consistent. Missed out against England and Sri Lanka in the World Cup, but his consistency before that against Scotland, Oman, and Papua New Guinea. And you'd always say that I think if Bangladesh are to win, Shakib generally has to have a good day out. And that's both with ball and bat. If he does, he'll always push the opposition and he'll get his team close to the line of victory. If he has an off day, well, you always feel that Bangladesh might get blown away.
That graphic that we just showed you was living proof of that. 5 games, Shakib does well, decent 40-plus scores at a decent strike rate. Bangladesh win, no problem. All the other 3 games, they fell behind, and particularly the one that hurt was the one against Scotland. But Joy, the other all-rounder on the other side, another player who's been, of course, a test match player, but liked to adapt himself to T20 cricket, Jason Holder. Yes, he's come in because of an injury, but we all felt he should have been in the 11 or the 15 all along, Jason Holder.
Yeah. And look, again, you look at the selectors and you turn around and look at each other and say, what were they thinking? If O'Shane Thomas does not come in first and Jason Holder comes in first, okay, what is it really telling you about what's happening out here? The fact that, then O'Shane Thomas should have been the first choice as a fast bowler. But that means Jason Holder, when he comes in, if he walks straight into the 11, that means perhaps you didn't think things through completely when you selected that side. And you look at this, the what he did with the Sunrisers Hyderabad. He can bat at 2. I mean, he can bat at 4. He can bat at 6. He can bat at 7. He can bat at 8. He gives you flexibility. He and Royston Chase, suppose they say, okay, you are 2 pillars. Any one of you is in the crease. You get a strike rate of 110, 115. Stick around. That's all. You don't need to do very much more than that. We'll attack around you. And they have enough players to attack around them. Then you have even Lewis, Chris Gale, explosive players, Hetmeyer, Puran, everybody else is an explosive hitter. And what they can do, therefore, is that if Chase gets out early, they promote Jason Holder, put him in there. And he's done this role for Hyderabad as well. He does this role in the CPL very well. He's a good choice. He's a great choice. And the wonder only is, why didn't he play? Why wasn't he in the squad before is a question everyone will be asking.
50-over cricket, test match cricket, Michael, England know only too well how much of an impact Jason Holder can have.
Yeah, I will probably say as far as it's probably one of the worst non-selections in cricket in history. Jason Holder not being a part of a squad to start with in the T20 World Cup is, well, it's staggering. It's just whoever the selectors were around the table deciding upon that at that time, it goes down as one of the worst non-selections in my eyes. And he's straight in. He's a wonderful performer. He's a great guy. I can only imagine what he brings to the group without performing, in that dressing room, in that team room. So delighted he's back. I've just been in Barbados, and I know they've been very, very angry as a nation that Jason wasn't a part of it. Well, he's back in, and I'm pretty sure we all know what he'll do. He'll perform to a consistent level.
And I remember, Joy, in the CPL, the day the teams were announced, we were actually sitting around the poolside in St. Kitts, and Jason was the only one of the players who was sitting with us, and he likes to sort of mix with everyone. And he heard the news, and he didn't really react. As Michael said, the nation reacted. He's not the kind of person who reacts. He just knocked back his refreshing beverage and said, no worries, I think I'll get a game at some point.
No, these are the guys. They know what their team requires. And I'm sure the fact that he was sitting in the Gulf for so long, they must have kept him along as a sort of with COVID and everything happening. So one good thing was that he was there, and he probably knows his condition better than anyone other than
he was an official traveling reserve. So, normally you have the net bowler variety of youngsters who you want to take along just in case. Jason Holder is not in that bill, but nonetheless, they took him along.
It's a good decision.
Certainly is. If that is something that perturbed Barbados, if it perturbed you, wait and watch for Joy's questions. Michael doesn't like them. I'm not sure if...
Oh, no, I like them.
I meant it in that sense. But I have a feeling that today's one you might just enjoy. Joy, go for it.
Okay, here's my question. Three cricketers made their test debut together in 1999. One played just one test. The second played just that series of matches, test series. But the third retired as his country's most successful test captain. Name all three cricketers.
There you go. Hang in there. Michael, you'll have a while to look at it. We've got all our avid...
No, I've got
Okay,
it.
stay there.
I've got
Don't give it. Don't give it
I've
away.
got it.
Don't give it away. Michael is...
No, I've got it. The first time ever. First time ever. I got it.
Oh, that's lovely. We had Sean Pollock, who made his debut as in terms of answering Joy's questions, and he now loves Joy to bits. But Michael, you've got it as well. So Joy, you found a new fan, and for all of you out there, hashtag Cricbuzz Live, get your answer in really quickly. You can't beat Michael Vaughan to it, but you can be in second place. Let's see who's going to be our first name in there. Quick predictions before we get into the game. It could be a run riot, or it could just be Bangladesh finding their way into the fragility of the West Indian batting lineup. What will it be? Michael Vaughan, would you like to go first for a 20-over prediction?
I'm going to say 180.
180.
Ooh,
No
I
wonder
love
he's
it.
just come
I
back
love
from
it.
Barbados. He's still hungover from that
180.
flight. It's still Barbados running through his veins. All right, 180.
I'm 180.
Joy?
Look, I think also the West Indies have had 2 bad days. They're going to get together. One day those guys are going to explode. So I'm going to go for 165.
165. Can I slot in between there? Maybe I can. 171. 171. I'm going to play. I don't like to play safe. I was thinking 140, but I'm going to go 171 and just slot in there because I know there are lots of people from the West Indies who might actually keep a track of Cricbuzz Live. And that's a place I spend a bit of time, so I'm not annoying everyone there. That's our predictions. That's what we think of the game. It's West Indies versus Bangladesh. Remember, we didn't want it to be this way, but it could just be an eliminator. We'll see you in the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox. For now, that's all with this build-up to a big double header on Cricbuzz Live.